Hello, everybody. This is the Courage in Cannabis show based on the #1 Amazon bestseller series, Courage in Cannabis. I am Candy Flores, and this is our guest, Samantha Hooten. Great to have you, Samantha.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
And today's topic is love and cannabis. Samantha has an amazing love story, and we are going to talk to her about it today. You want to
Yes,
tell
I'm
everyone?
so. I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
I said, you want to tell everyone where you're from?
Yes, I am from Piedmont, Oklahoma, which is right outside Oklahoma City.
Great, great. And tell us a little bit about what you do and how your cannabis love story started.
Yes. Okay. So currently, I am momming, and that is a vast majority of my time is going that and early wivinghood, one might say. And so it's a very new season of life for me. However, I am also working on my cannabis coaching certification through the Holistic Caring Network. So I'm very excited about that. That's where I'm spending my time, not with my baby at the moment. I've also come across a really cool new opportunity with Sensi Magazine to be working on their holistic wellness blog that they will be starting here in the near future. So definitely be on the lookout for that.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. Can't wait to see it.
Thank you. Yes, I'm very excited, and I do have a very unique love story in that I did find my husband Jeff Hooten, or Case God, through work, and so we met in the cannabis industry in 2021, and we met briefly about a year before that through work, and then didn't really have a whole lot of contact, just kind of kept on with our lives. And then interest peaked as time went on. And so I was bud tending at Mango Cannabis, and he was doing social media with a brand called 1444. And so he came into Mango to do some photography, and we reconnected. And we ended up having our first date actually on 420. So very fitting for the situation. It truly
No,
is a layered cannabis love story. And
absolutely.
yes, yes. So lots of fun, very on theme. And from there, we just had so many adventures. One of the first things that we did together was go work an event out in Tahlequah, where we got to go up into a small privately owned helicopter together and literally fly around and see the river and the woods and all of that. I've gotten to witness him have substantial success in the industry, which has been amazing. Cannabis has been something that has been incredibly healing for both of us. And so seeing him capture so much for so many people has been really incredible. It's just power to the space. I love to see the variety and the beauty that he captures on a day-to-day basis. And, that passion really is what caught my eye. I was very active in the cannabis industry, before motherhood. And so I spent a lot of time doing social media accounts, as well as working as an event coordinator, a lot of brand repping, of course. I did work with Sensi Magazine doing their sales right around the time that I got pregnant. So I'm super excited to tap back in with them in a new way and kind of help them with this new space. I'm really excited as well about this certification that I'm working on, because I feel like I'm kind of taking all of these skills that I've acquired and putting them into one place. And so to have a husband who's supporting me during postpartum, um, during this time while I'm plugging back into education and looking forward to a new chapter, has been really amazing, because, it can be very hard pulled in a multitude of directions. is when you have a lot of passion. And so pregnancy for me was my cue to, kind of put myself on the back burner and put a lot of love into my family at this early stage. And, just emphasis on the way that he's been the provider during that time where I have indeed acted as the nurturer. So, I couldn't say enough good things about him. We have been married for a little over a year now, so it's still very new. And, there were many hurdles that we worked through, having a baby and going into marriage all kind of in the same setting. But we've made it through the bump, and now we have a beautiful son. We're both working on our individual lives and building something together, which is really, really special. And so I'm honored to be in the cannabis space, and kind of walk journey with all these other pioneers. I know and acknowledge they have come before me and my time, but it really has been a privilege, and I've loved the way that it has bled into every aspect of my life, all the way down to my marriage. So that's just kind of a little summary.
Yeah, it's great. And actually, I've seen some of Jeff's work, and I was very inspired, and it was amazing seeing, back in Oklahoma. And thank you for the Weed Mom event. That's where I met you in Oklahoma City. And
Yes. Shout out to Miss Thunder Walker.
yes, absolutely. And
Yes.
let's see. So you are going into holistic healing and doing spiritual wellness, correct?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, perfect.
I am, yeah, and I'm very excited about that. I feel like, a season of stillness somehow is where God has sent me to, the exact place that I was headed. So that's very good insight for other people, who may feel overwhelmed by a plot twist. Just hold on and remain at peace, because you have no idea what's waiting on the other side. And it was just clarity for that calling to walk into those healing shoes and put forth that time and effort. Even though it's been hard to balance, I think that it's going to be very fruitful. So
Yes, and that was great how we connected, and we're both involved in spiritual healing, holistic care, and I was honored to meet you. And I had a couple of questions, as far as your favorite way to consume. Let's let the audience know how you consume. What is your favorite way?
yes, absolutely. So overall, I have favorites, but I love high quality flour. It doesn't always necessarily have to be organic, though I do favor that in general. I love anything that is kind of from the GMO family. I love also the caryophyllene terpene. If I can find that in a strain, that caters so much to, just the calmer headspace. Couple that with linalool, and you're headed in a good direction no matter what. So I
Absolutely.
love to. Right, exactly. And so, generally I am going to love something that is more active, that also is going to have those kind of downer effects on the body, just because I deal with inflammation. And so when I'm smoking flower, I prefer to either rip the bong, classic on the go moves, or I like to use hemp wraps and roll hemp blunt. So those are my favorite ways to consume flower. And I also love hash rosin, but I think that flower does kind of win in the end for me.
Nice. So we have a question from the audience. Was it important for your partner to be a pro cannabis?
Yes, it was. It definitely was. Cannabis is what got me through a difficult season of physical and mental healing. It's something that evolves with time for me. And so, as my mental well being has gotten better, I've consumed less. And that's been actually really interesting to witness the way that my physical body still craves it so much. But I've gotten such a better headspace and spiritual space that it continues to evolve. And for me, support was necessary because it cannabis freed me from being on Zoloft. I had also been on Wellbutrin and Prozac during different times, kind of figuring out what worked, and then nothing really did for me until I found natural methods. Honestly,
Great.
as well, Xanax. I had gotten various poor side effects from other medications as well. I had
Mhm.
C. diff when I was like 18 years old from antibiotics, and
Mhm.
so I was just pushed in such a natural direction that finding someone who not only respected the herb but also honors it and
Mhm.
works with it very passionately was just a bonus, honestly.
Great.
But yes,
Yeah, I
long
can just
story short,
imagine.
very important. Yes, yes.
So, what are you going to tell your children about cannabis?
So I love that question. I've learned actually from Lady, whom you probably met at the same event that you met me. I really respect the way that she handles those things, and I look up to her.
Mhm.
She does a very excellent job, I think, of emphasizing the medicinal aspect of cannabis. And, it's something that I never want to have something that I feel I'm hiding from my son out of a position of shame, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Because it is a shameless thing to consume. And so I intend to fully educate him. I will always encourage him to be wise, with the way that
Mhm.
he approaches these things. Truthfully, I could see myself investing in one of the pediatric medical cards at some point. If he were to need something, I would prefer that he use CBD over Tylenol. And he's in excellent health, so I don't even have anything to
Mhm.
say, that I could potentially need to use that for.
Right. But
But
if
that is
needed,
going to
that would be
be
your yes.
right.
Great.
Right. And that is just always going to be that. And so proper education, good example as well. I
Mhm.
felt called to really examine that I consume cannabis. Again, I kind of mentioned, just having the awareness that I'm walking into a better head and being willing to kind of let some of that aspect go so that I can be more grounded and use it more intentionally and medicinally. Being a good example and educating.
Awesome, awesome. So you mentioned grounded. So how
Yes.
do you ground yourself?
Yes. So every morning for the past 2 months, actually, I'm pretty proud of because postpartum did very much unground me and uproot me in the best way, in the long run. But it's been very important and crucial for me to do yoga every morning. Even if I'm running behind and it's just 10 to 15 minutes in comparison to 30 minutes. Um, and at this season of life where I don't have a whole lot of freedom as far as leave because I have an infant and a working husband, Yoga with Adriene on YouTube has been really excellent for me because she can do very specific things. She can be more meditative. She is on lower back pain and things like that I really suffer from. So taking 30 minutes in the morning before I, get my infant up to rise, because that does generally consume a vast majority of my has been very, very crucial. That quiet space. I would say that has been one of the biggest adjustments is no longer being alone, if that makes sense.
Yes,
And so, right. And I've recently, I actually follow someone on Instagram and he goes by Plasmaborn369. And I recently did a light body activation session with him, which is super
mhm.
fascinating because he basically took everything that he's learned with the chakra system and the way that he's been able to meditate and utilize in his mental, physical, and spiritual life. And I feel that that was really amazing because it put a lot that I was curious about into one place. And so it also just bringing more awareness to my being again has allowed me to see what I am presently experiencing blockages, because I feel
Mhm.
like I reached a point in my life, you know, where I had unwound enough trauma to work through some things, but there are
Right,
things embedded below the surface. And so
right.
I would say right now, on my spiritual journey, specific to being grounded, all about really understanding, you know, who I am, where I want to
Mhm.
place my willpower. And that really requires breaking through barriers that one may have. And so
Right.
I think grounding right now is actively breaking through those barriers. I don't feel especially grounded, but it is the process,
Well,
you know?
that well, you're doing a great job, and it's good to explain to others, you know, and that's the reason I asked you, because you don't hear a lot of people that are keeping themselves grounded, and that's very important to me. As you know, as I wake or before I go to bed, I do, you know, make sure that I stay grounded. And you know, being that we're in the cannabis space, you know, of course we need to stay grounded. But
Right,
one
absolutely.
another question we have is, if you did not go into the cannabis space professionally, what would you have done?
That's actually an incredible question, because I'll just give a brief little summation. I was
Mhm.
living in Stillwater when COVID came around and made its way
Mhm.
into America. And I had actually uh, fairly recently dropped out of college because I was a teacher and truthfully felt that I had to be there due to family pressure, which is fine. I understand and respect the effort that they put into making that my path, even though I altered it for them. um, So I had recently dropped out and I was working at a holistic wellness center, and it was a small
Mhm.
business that had to shut down. But that holistic wellness center was a literal ray of hope for me during the absolute darkest season that I have had and will ever allow myself to have. Um, and so I often say that I have no idea what I would be doing. I can tell you that I love writing, I love healing, I love communicating with people. I don't know what I would have been doing if I was not doing this. So I don't know. It's interesting to think about. I'm so thankful that things evolved the way that they did. I can't picture myself ever completing a business degree, you know? Not
Right.
math minded. I was in econ, accounting, and computer science all the same semester, and I said, I'm leaving.
So maybe not this year, but what do you think would be a great cannabis Valentine?
A great can Valentine. You know, I think that one put together a beautiful bouquet. Oops, excuse me. High quality, magnificent buds. Throw in some flowers as well. You know, tie a little ribbon around it. I think it would be awfully cute to have a cannabis bouquet. So it would get me jazzed. I would really smoke everything in that I could.
That's a great answer. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So let's see if we have any other, let me see if we have any other questions. Let's see. Okay, so I, let's see. So I know that your story is going to offer a lot of hope and forward thinking to others. You're very spiritual. I see you're studying really hard, and I think you're going to be a great coach. And I'd be honored to, to help you or mentor in anything that you need, as you know. And um, do you have any questions for us as far as for Courage in Cannabis? I know we spoke before in regarding to having you on one of the upcoming books.
Yes, yes. I definitely want to do that. And I do have a question. What would you say after working with so many people through this platform, would be like maybe the top three obstacles that people encounter socially as they're working through kind of breaking the stick? Is it family, work? What are your thoughts on that?
Actually, I think we've seen a little bit of everything. Whether it's
Yeah,
with family, with work. Um, just ending the stigma has really, honestly, it hasn't ended. There's a lot of
right.
us still, fighting that, and trying, to end the stigma by advocating and doing what we do. Let's see. Another question was, what does courage in cannabis mean to you?
Oh, that is such a good one. So, right, that is so good. So, for me, using cannabis as medicine was kind of going out on a limb. I had some issues medically that we can dive into, and that took me through so many different Western philosophies. And I think that it's really impressed upon us to rely on that, and allowing myself to put cannabis in my headspace as a medicinal herb was my first step of courage. I definitely had viewed it as very recreational. I had used it recreationally. And so it definitely was a transition for me. And, one thing that I love about myself is that I am fairly outspoken and typically not concerned with how people view what I'm doing when it's coming from a place of good intention in my heart. And
Mhm.
so I think that as far as like that outward courage goes, I was just blessed with being able to kind of carry that in my nature. But for me, it required being courageous and having discipline in how I used it, being courageous, and again, just allowing that reframe to take place. And so, I don't know, does that make sense?
Yes, of course. Yes. So you did mention a couple of your favorite terpenes. What about your favorite cannabinoids? Do you have any?
So CBD, yeah, CBD is definitely my biggest one. I'm way favoring it over THC right now. Actually looking
Mhm.
at, investing in some more specific tinctures and things like that. Again, just due to my inflammation. It also, I feel overall interacts better with the type of anxiety that I have.
Mhm. Mhm.
Sometimes that THC does become overstimulating, which is not necessarily what my brain needs. And so CBD is excellent in that aspect. Um, and we all love THC. I love the way that CBN allows me to sleep and really genuinely relax in the evening hours. I've gotten my hands on some really great bedtime gummies that kind of have that focus on the CBN, some CBGs in there. So those are, yeah, I would say CBD, CBN.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we're almost about to end the show. How could our guests reach you if they wanted to get in contact with you?
Yes, my Instagram is going to be the best way, and I will get better DMs now that we're mentioning this. I am on the greener side on Instagram, but dots in between. So on the.greener.side. And that's actually my only active social media right now as things evolve with my certification and with my new steps with Cincy. I'll probably tap back into Facebook and look at Twitter, who knows, whatever's going to be beneficial at that point.
Not a problem. We do have another question from a guest. Do you utilize cannabis with prayer and or meditation?
Yes, I most definitely do. I like to specifically smoke a joint on the way to a massage. And while I'm getting my massage, I really intentionally take that time to have a meditative space. And that's something that I do about every other week. And that's been really powerful is, meditating during massage and utilizing cannabis before I go. And when I'm just at home, I definitely utilize cannabis before I sit down and do my evening journaling, which is truthfully not every evening. I like to journal with the moon cycle. And so I kind of stay on track that way, and I will smoke before I sit down and journal. And for me, my journaling is prayer. Also kind of where I note my intentions and perhaps my affirmations and things like that. So it does become a very meditative state for me. Uh, and my favorite thing to do when I wake up in the morning is have a hash dab. Now that has been really powerful for my inflammation. My back is just crazy in the mornings, and so I also typically will start my day with prayer or listening to scripture, or I love hermetic philosophy, things like that. So very prayerful in those morning hours as well, and yes, very very medicated.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yes.
Well, we are about to end the show.
Right. It's been lovely. I am happy to come on anytime. If you ever
Yes.
want to dive further into the specific things that I've used cannabis for, as far as, mental health, physical health, we can dive further into spiritual health, any of that. So
Absolutely.
I'm very thankful that you would allow me this space and this audience, and thank you to everyone who also had questions for me. That's so exciting. I love that.
Great, great. Well, you have a happy Valentine's Day. And I know I've seen some love there from Buffalo, New York, Dallas, and Ohio. I'm not sure how what others are on there, but we're glad to have you on here, and we would love to have you back. And you guys enjoy and have a happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you. You have a good one too. Have such a good night.
You too. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Is it still